Of course, the front line wasn't only occupied by military men. Often the front line came home and took in civilians, including women and children. One incident I recall only too clearly nearly cost me my life. I was very lucky. I was 21 and acting as an aircraft spotter at the time. Not of the military kind. No, I'd been taken on by Rolls-Royce to join the night shift at their factory in Derby, which is where I was living at the time. But instead of joining the rest in the factory, my role was to go up on the roof and, spot aircraft. We were assumed to be a prime target for the Germans because Derby was where the Merlin engines were built. You know, the engines which gave the Spitfire that characteristic sound. One night in 1942, as usual, I was by myself. If there was a high alert, they'd send more up and perhaps fetch in a couple of anti-aircraft guns. But that night was quiet. And so they thought. At about 5:40 a.m. I queried the noise of an aircraft in the south. We used to have trouble distinguishing that sort of thing because of the noise from the engine test beds. But the controller told me, "There's nothing on the board this side of Coventry." 10 minutes later, there was an almighty roar and a Dornier skimmed number 6 shop, with bomb doors open and machine guns blazing. It was so low, he had to bank round the factory's water tower. Then he came back and dropped 4 bombs. One wrecked the central stores, the steel stores, and 2 adjacent houses in Hawthorne Street. It sent shrapnel whistling all around me, but by some miracle it all missed. The other 3 missed the factory but landed in residential streets. As I say, I was very lucky, but 23 people weren't, including 9 women, a boy of 9, a little girl aged 2. One of the women was called Dora. Only the previous day she'd agreed to go dancing with me that Saturday. I went numb when I found out. I couldn't believe it. Well, you don't do when it affects you personally. I'm happily married now. But I do still think of her.